Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Bahroz, and today I have my friend on the podcast, Mohsen Raza, who is an ex-Amazon HR. So I have him here to share with us all the tips, tricks, and hacks to ace Amazon hiring process. He has a lot of experience hiring for Amazon, and hence I believe he is someone who is very much suited to help us educate and know better on how we can ace the interview process, how we can ace the test, and be the right candidate for any Amazon role. So without further wait, I'll pass it on to Mohsin. And Mohsin, if you can start by first introducing yourself. So maybe that would be a good start. And then we'll go deeper into the hiring process and how we can really, or any individual or candidate can really ace the process altogether. So Mohsin, over to you.
Sure. Thank you very much, Behrouz. Just very briefly about myself, I have over 15 years of HR experience, currently working as Director People and Culture for a publicly funded organization here in Toronto. Have worked in human resources for Amazon for a couple of years in North America.
Nice, thank you. That's a lot of that's a very strong resume. So thanks for sharing that. So Mohsen, let's jump into what does the process look like. So if you can just let us know what are the steps, what are the things involved with regards to the process for getting into Amazon.
Sure, let's jump right into it. So as you know, Behrouz, Amazon has more than 1.5 million employees in different roles spread all over the world. So the hiring process does look slightly different for different roles, but it all begins at Amazon's official hiring websites where you create a profile and look for open roles that interest you. Some countries have specific hiring websites. For example, Canada and the US, they have their own hiring website, but it's always the official hiring website, which should be your first port of call. For some positions, you may be asked to share a sample of writing or a sample of code. And for others, and for most others, I would say there's an automated screening and assessment, which again is specific to the role. However, you can consider it like a caliper assessment or a personality assessment and an aptitude test. So that's what the process looks like, and I'll talk more about what the next steps in the process are. So the next step for once you've been shortlisted by the system and the recruiter has had a chance to go through your resume, you'll have a schedule for an interview call with the recruiter, and that's just to understand the candidate, what you bring broadly to the role. Whether you are aligned in terms of compensation, whether you are aligned with the work model. For example, some roles are fully on-site, others are hybrid. Initially they were remote, but now it's pretty much all the roles are hybrid, whether you're willing to come into the office, where the office is. So those kind of broad questions. The next step is a series of interviews, which is known at Amazon as the interview loop. This is likely to be 2, maybe 3, sometimes even 4 interviews, which may be remote or in person, depending on where the hiring team is and where the candidate is located. For remote interviews, Amazon uses its own internal messaging app, which is kind of a combination of MS Teams and WhatsApp. It's called Amazon Chime, free to download. I would highly recommend that anyone giving an interview should do that on a computer versus a phone. So on average, the interview process can last somewhere between 3 to 6 weeks.
So, Mohsen, thank you for sharing this detailed perspective on how to go about for the entire process. So I'll pick on each one of them that you called out. So the first thing that I want to pick on is when I'm applying. Let's say if I'm applying for Amazon, I just go on the website, I apply. I'm sure there are hundreds and thousands of other people who are applying as well. How do I make sure my resume gets selected so I even get a link for me to give the assessment? So
Yeah.
how do I get my resume shortlisted, be seen by the recruiter? And it's not just an Amazon problem; it's a problem everywhere. But probably there is a hack or smart way to solve it for Amazon.
I mean, that's a very fair question. There are thousands of applicants for a role. It is humanly impossible to go through each resume. Amazon does use an applicant tracking system, good or bad. The 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 recommended solution would be to try and align as closely with the job description, using words from the job description in your resume, creating a cover letter that is aligned with the requirements of the role. But also another thing is that if you know somebody in Amazon, there is a referral process. Amazon does believe that people working in a certain role at Amazon, for example, if they're software developers, they are likely to know other software developers that are going to be successful in their role. So Amazon does have a very strong internal referral system. If somebody refers you through for a position at Amazon, you receive a link, a referral link, and then that's the best point to apply, which basically you still have to go through the entire process. The recruiter isn't concerned whether you came through a referral process or not, but it just brings your resume up in the pile of many, many, many resumes. So you are likely to get seen much earlier than, say, somebody who has not come in through that system. So it is helpful. It is transparent in the sense that Amazon does reward its employees if there is a successful hire based on their referral. They do get a bonus. Obviously, some positions are exempt from that. For example, human resources is exempt, but many positions you are eligible to get a referral bonus. So people are willing to refer people. So if you know somebody in Amazon and they don't happen to be your best friend, it's still there's always a good chance that they might refer you if you broadly meet the criteria of the role.
Correct. Thank you. This was helpful. So now let's imagine I prepare my resume, a cover letter like you guided, also get a referral as well. Now I get a test link. How do I go about acing the test? What should I expect in the test, and how do I go about acing those assessment tests?
Yeah. So these tests, Bahroz, they look for patterns, as you know. If you say you always dive into details, but later on you say you rarely double check your work, that inconsistency is a red flag. So you need to answer those test questions for consistency rather than personality. And for work style assessments, be decisive. Avoid middle of the road answers unless they truly fit. So Amazon values bias for action, clear decision making over, say, hedging. So don't try to hedge your answer. Try and take an approach that is firm, that shows that you are decisive in your work style, and avoid. I can't emphasize this enough. Avoid distractions like Google searching or Chat GPT. That would really make your responses stand out in a negative way. So try and be authentic. They are looking for people who can work in a high pressure, time sensitive environment. So and the answer, don't worry that some answers will be wrong. You don't have to have a perfect like 100 upon 100 response.
Okay, thank you for sharing that. I do get that question a lot, which is,
Yeah,
do I
that's
need to
fair.
ace all questions and all? So thank you. This was helpful. Now I submitted my resume, got the test link, I gave the test, I cleared the test, and now I get a call for an interview.
Okay.
How do I go about preparing for the interview?
So Amazon has leadership principles. I would really recommend that you take the time to read those leadership principles, and really try and absorb them and see how they reflect in the work that you have done. So every question in the interview that you will get is designed to measure how you think and act in real world situations. If you don't know all the leadership principles, that's fine, but don't give generic answers. Try and focus on the leadership principles and how the question is trying to probe into that. Preparing for the Amazon interview, I would say, is like preparing for any competitive sport. You can just not cram it overnight. I think you really need to focus and think through your experiences and how they relate to the work, to the principles. The examples that you should be ready to showcase should be specific to the work that you have done. For example, if somebody has been an accountant versus somebody in human resources or somebody is a developer, the examples that they would give would be very, very different from based on their work. Really focus and is the STAR method, the situation, task, action, and result method. Amazon really loves structured and data-backed answers. So instead of vague storytelling, focus on metrics. Like for example, like you work in finance, you would want to talk about how much revenue growth resulted in this action of yours. In other roles, you might want to talk about the time saved or the quality that was improved as a result of your actions. So those are things that really need. So the STAR method is very important, and be ready to provide to answer follow-up questions. So Amazon, they love to deep dive into problems. So they will ask you questions based on your response, like what data did you use and what was the root cause. So probing for more details and be ready to answer on those details. I think you should also be ready to. So this is where a little bit of showmanship comes in. You need to be able to keep on responding because most of your interview panel would be taking down notes. So they unlikely to be making eye contact. That's not because that they're not listening, but because they really want to capture the response that you have given, so that they can use your responses to compare you against other candidates. And lastly, I think you need to rehearse with somebody who is your friend, but who would really push back on you for answers. I mean, in terms of like, they wouldn't say that that's a great response. No, that's you. So that's a great response. But tell us this. So somebody who can grill you hard. So that's important as well.
Got it. Thank you. One question I have, you did say about probing questions or counter
Yeah.
questions. Is that a signal that I am not giving a complete answer? So if I give a complete answer, I should not expect any just because I've said everything they wanted to know and they go like, I don't have questions. Or if they start asking questions, I feel maybe I'm not doing well because I'm not giving enough and I screwed up something.
No, I think the other is probably more likely. If they don't ask you questions, then probably you're not even close. It's most likely that they will ask some follow-up questions. I think the interviews are challenging, but at the same time they're predictable. So if you align your stories with the leadership principles and your examples with the specifics of the work that you've done, you're already ahead of many of the candidates in the line. So it's important that you are ready to field those questions, but not get flustered by those follow-up questions.
Okay, beautiful, clear. Thank you, Mohsen. This is helpful so far. So now I prepare for the interview, rehearse everything. I'm all prepared. Comes the day of the interview. What to expect on that day?
So it's not one conversation. It's really a series of conversations. So you'll meet different interviews. Each one is focusing on different leadership principles and skill areas. So some questions would be more technical oriented, some more people oriented. There's very little overlap in their questions because they've all been assigned different lanes to cover. So keep that in mind. So you wouldn't be able to. It's not going to be a follow-up conversation. Unlikely to be. You will get a very consistent experience across the interviews. Amazon uses standard frameworks, so two people interviewing, even if they're interviewing from different locations, would still follow similar patterns. So that means that the way you answer should remain structured. It should be clear and backed by data. It matters more than tailoring to a specific personality. So your questions should really be consistent in responses. You should also be aware that that the vibe is going to be professional. It's not going to be overly warm. As I mentioned, they probably wouldn't be making much eye contact with you. So be ready for that.
Got it. This is good. I have two questions
Okay.
specifically, which is when I prepare my examples and I have one of my highlights from my past career, is it okay to repeat an example in the same interview? And is it okay to repeat an example across interviews? This is a question I get a lot.
Yeah. I think that's a fair question, because once you start preparing some examples, they really stick in your mind and you're really ready to talk about them or your projects. But you should also bear in mind that at max you shouldn't use the same example more than twice, because otherwise it would become just repetitive, that you have really rehearsed one particular situation and you're using the same situation for the so you can always go back. I've seen that happen, and it happens very many times, that people want to use the same situation. That's fine, but try not to use it thrice.
Got it. And how about across different interviews within the loop? So I use it once, and then can I use it with? So I use it with Mohsin, and can I use it with the Mr. X and Y who are in the loop to come later?
So likely the notes will are shared. They can share. They can look at each other's notes, that what happened in the previous interview. So be mindful of that.
Okay, got it. Thank you. So now let's move on towards the last few questions I have. Oh, one is there are so many people who are applying for the role. We've talked about that before as well. How do I stand out? This is one question, and I also have a side question. You may
Yeah.
want to tackle it now or maybe later. What is a bar raiser, and how is it different from any other interviewer in the loop? Because in my opinion, everyone is should be trying to raise the bar, but
Yeah.
maybe Amazon has a way of doing it. So I don't know if these questions can be combined with one answer. But how do you stand out? What is a bar raiser?
Let's take the first question first. So I think in order to stand out, you really need to keep it clear and keep it real. Bring thoughtful questions. At the end, they will always ask. They will ask if you have questions. So don't go for generic ones. They will take down the questions that you've asked. So don't ask the same question. You mentioned, like, don't ask the same question in the second interview as well and in the third interview as well. Try and bring different questions. Avoid generic questions like what's the culture like. Ask something that makes the interview stop and think. It should be a question maybe about the business model, or maybe an upcoming challenge, or how they measure success in this particular team, and what are the metrics for success. And that would really also help inform your follow-up interactions with Amazon, whether that is a follow-up interview or what have you. Try and showcase yourself as somebody who thinks, and this is one of their principles, is that you need to think like an owner. So you want to focus on the outcomes of what really happened as a result of your actions. Use I to emphasize the actions that you drove. And for team wins, you always want to use we did this, but make sure that your role is clear in whatever is it that you did. Another thing, and I'm trying to frame it in a way that is valuable for a candidate. Try and reveal your learning curve. Be ready to talk about, say, a mistake or a challenge that you faced. Amazon really is looking for people like that, who value growth over perfection, and every year they have budgeted a fair bit of amount for failures. So you might remember the Amazon Fire Phone, a project that failed. They still talk about it. They say that these things will happen again in the future. They had other projects like a competitor to Uber and DoorDash. I don't remember its name, but they tried entering that market, and that project failed as well. So they reveal their failures as well and want to talk about it. So you might also want to talk about some of things that you have struggled with, but don't raise a red flag in the sense that maybe that really puts them off you as a viable candidate. So think about that.
Got it. Thank you. So now let's come to the second part, or second question I had when I asked when I interrupted you, which is what is a bar raiser, and what's special about the bar raiser, and what do I need to do with the bar raiser?
Okay, so the bar raiser is essentially kind of a quality control. they're not part of the hiring manager's team, so there's no pressure on them to fill the role. Amazon has an internal training called Making Great Hiring Decisions. So that's the training that the bar raiser has undergone, a very structured program. Their role is essentially to check bias, and make sure that the decision on a candidate is evidence-based and it's grounded in the leadership principles. They are also there to guide the interview process so that it remains consistent and fair across multiple candidates. And they also challenge the decisions of the hiring team, the recommendations. But that's it's. I've not seen that they've really overturned the decision of the hiring team in very many instances. So I would really look at the bar raiser as somebody who ensures that the process is fair and consistent. I think it's somebody who really contributes to the overall candidate experience in trying to make it fair for all candidates.
Okay, so as a candidate, I don't really need to worry about who the bar raiser is and try to figure it out and do something. I just do what you just kind of shared, and as
Yeah,
long as I do it, whether it's a bar raiser, non-bar raiser, it's fine.
it really makes no difference from the
Got it.
candidate perspective.
Got it. Thank you, Mohsen. So that's all I wanted to know. So in the end, I'll just again pass it on to you. If there are any watchouts, anything special that you didn't call out that we need to be careful as candidates applying for Amazon, please do let us know.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. So I think one watch out would be to ignore the question. Every question is really mapped onto a leadership principle. So if you drift off topic, you're really making their job harder. So many candidates, they like to come in and they just want to talk about what they've done without really trying to link it to the question or the leadership principle that they are that the interviewer is really trying to assess. And they really hop in their story from the start to the end to the beginning. So try and make it in a structured flow so that the interviewer's attention is not lost. You don't want to lose their attention. So as structured as possible. One other thing that I've noticed with some candidates is that they go really high level, so they don't get into specifics, and that's something that you really want to avoid. The interview process is designed in such a way that the interviewer wants to hear about specifics. They want to hear about your timelines. They want to hear about numbers. So generalities and candidates who are too general are easily forgotten really fast in the number of candidates that are being interviewed. Another thing is that some candidates are really scripted. They try to play really safe and try and only share perfect stories that either hide the challenges or the mistakes that they have made. I think nobody is perfect, and neither the interviewer nor the candidate, and there is this realization on both sides. And I think this realization should also come out at the candidate side. So try and answer questions that really show that there have been bumps in the road that you have taken. I think Amazon's process, and to conclude, Bahroz, is very rigorous, but is also structured and very intentional. So I think it's very much possible to come out as a top candidate if you understand the rules of the game. You keep your answers grounded in reality and show how you actually work through problems. You'll give yourself a great shot if you show yourself as a problem solver, if nothing else. So it's really important to be clear in the sense of your strengths and the difference that you bring to the role. Coming forth with that self-realization itself, I think it's a great win.
Got it. Thank you, Mohsen. This session with you was just amazing. It was complete from end to end, like really from the beginning to the end, and how we can really ace the process. So I think this would be really helpful for a lot of candidates watching this. So thank you for that. One last piece, which is if anyone wants to reach out to you, where can they connect with you or reach out to?
I would be happy to connect with folks on LinkedIn.
Got it. Thank you. I'll leave your LinkedIn link in the description of this video.
Sure.
But again, thank you for joining.
You're very welcome. Have a great day.